But right now, we're specifically talking about a report from Deadline that claims that it is a very real possibility that Avengers Endgame could wind up making $1 billion worldwide opening weekend alone. I can't believe I just uttered that sentence. The outlet is hearing that something like a $940 to $950 million start is the more likely scenario. But if China and or the U.S. overperform, that's when $1 billion comes into the equation. Apparently, pre-sales in the U.S. and Canada are already north of $121 million. Pre-sales in China broke records in a matter of hours and became the Middle Kingdom's top pre-seller ever. China pre-sales are up to $80 million at the moment, and that number is expected to reach $90 million plus. All right, Coy, we've been talking about the $300 million opening weekend thing, but what do you think about the worldwide opening weekend? Do you see it cracking $1 billion?
So I think worldwide it actually might be viable, because it is a movie that I saw it and I'm already seeing it again on Thursday and Saturday. Like, I'm already very excited for my 9 hours in that theater this week alone, and I was very happy to pay for it twice. I think it's a movie that people are going to be willing to pay for again as soon as there's an open theater for it. I think it's a movie that invites more viewings, and I also think that it's 3 hours, so if you're playing it for 24 hours, you're going to want to clean up time. So you've got like 6 movies per day for that 18-hour plus the flips. So if you're playing it that many times even the smallest theaters in LA are like 250 seats for the larger houses. So that's what, 1,500 seats a day? You're going to make so much money if you open it up, and I think $1 billion worldwide is attainable, and I think this is the only movie that has enough boots on the ground to do it.
So I always try to watch out whenever I do my box office predictions, because I'm a human being. My personal feelings about a movie creep into my brain when I'm picking numbers. I'm rooting for something, and now that I loved Avengers Endgame, I am rooting for it to break a whole bunch of records here. The thing is, after I saw that Deadline story, I saw another report, I believe it was from Variety, and they're saying that it might not even be possible for it to, let's say, crack 300 million.
That's the question, yeah.
Yeah, because they're saying that their stats are the most money that the entire domestic box office has ever generated in a single weekend is $314 million, and that was the weekend that Infinity War hit theaters in 2018, and then the second biggest industry weekend was $313 million when Force Awakens debuted in 2015. So, I mean, we're talking about every other movie at the box office playing with something like $15 million. So,
but did we have that 24-hour?
That's the difference.
We didn't have the 24-hour, and we keep, selling out. We're pre-selling tickets at Fandango. We keep selling out every time they add more and more screenings within minutes. So it's just like we never saw anything like it. Even compared to Infinity War, I think the ticket sales, the pre-ticket sales were like started at 5 to 1. Now they're at like 10 to 1 in pre-ticket sales.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And we also have theater chains like AMC. I think AMC is staying open this weekend for something like 72 hours straight to meet the demand for Endgame tickets.
And if you go on to try to get tickets, you can't get them. That's the thing. As they keep adding them, you can't get them. You can't. So the question is, yes, if it played in every single theater for 24 hours, is it possible? Is it a number? That's something that nobody's looked into yet.
That's a cool thing to set the bar of, like, what is the most possible dollars physically capable of seats in theaters? Like, that's such
the number we need.
It's amazing. Like, usually walk into a theater and they've got like those fire hazard safety numbers. Like, there's usually got to keep 7 seats open, but now they're like, how many humans can we fit in this building for the next 72 hours?
Lawn chairs in the back row.
Give them half off, bring your own seat, go nuts. Like, it's an opportunity to really see the theater going public, and this fills me with such glee, because a lot of people crap on these blockbuster films. They think that they're surface, they think that they're like every other thing, and certain people that sat here before have problems with them. But I think that there's an opportunity to show that it brings people to the theater, those theaters get to stay open, and then you can have your indie still exist. Like, these are bringing revenue into movie theaters. That's how we get other movies. Like, mid-range film can't exist because of this existing. You don't watch every movie in theaters. These ones keep the actual lights on at movie theaters. I think that's so important. So there's got to be a balance. The balance is a little skewed right now, but I think it's important to note
I
that
feel like that's a much bigger question.
It's a much bigger conversation, but keeping the lights on is important.
My brain just went down so many different avenues about things that I wanted to say back, but I think one of my favorite things that you kind of just hit on too is just the community that something like the MCU has formed, because I kind of touched on this in my review a little. I mean, I guess this is kind of going back to the review, but one of the coolest things about Endgame in particular, but I think the large majority of the MCU is the fact that the love for this brand from the filmmaker's point of view and from the fan point of view is there. We felt it I don't want to speak for you, but I felt it in the room last night. I don't know if you did either, but
you definitely did, and I think what I felt from the Russo brothers is what you just said, their love for these characters. Because every single character was serviced in this film. Every single character had an arc. You felt the love from them. And again, without spoiling anything, you're taken on such a range of emotions. And that was also one thing that I haven't heard anybody say is how phenomenal the acting was. We keep talking about how fantastic the set and the scope of it, but the individual performances were so nuanced, and that is hard to do in that type of a genre.
And I want to give credit as well to beyond the Russos, the editing and marketing team. The Russos and the marketing team shaping the publicity the way they did. I had a problem, very notably for Age of Ultron, in that I was watching the movie feeling like I was piecing together scenes from the trailers. The whole time I was watching Age of Ultron, I was like, I remember that scene and that. And then I kind of put the movie together. I didn't have a single moment in this film where I was pulled out and went, oh, the trailer, and then back in. The trailers were so masterfully cut. Not only did it not spoil, it never removed me from the film. I wasn't analyzing anything, and I felt like I went into that movie less exposed than I've ever been for this big of a film.
Admittedly, sometimes when I saw trailer shots, like a little blip on my radar went off, but it was never in a way that made me feel like I knew too much from the trailers, if that makes any sense. I was simply aware of something, but the trailers do such a great job of not spoiling a single stitch of this movie.
And I think that should be a cue for other films.
Oh, please.
Because there are so many times that I watch a trailer and then I'm just have no interest in seeing the film. I just saw the film. You just showed me the entire thing, and that going into something and having absolutely no clue where it is going is so invaluable. And I say this over and over. People, we want to consume and find out as much as we can, because people really, a lot of times, don't want to invest their time and money to go to the theater unless they know they're going to like it. Where you don't have those, we're not in the times anymore where you go to the theater, you go, okay, what are we going to go see?
Yeah.
People really want to know ahead of time that they're going to like something, and so people want to know everything they can before they go. But just this is such a perfect example of when you go into it having known nothing. There was only one shot that I watched the film from the trailer that I went, okay, I remember the trailer. But other than that, they so seamlessly put it together that same thing as you. I only had one moment where I recognized it.
And that's so hard in the modern day with 3 trailers plus TV spots plus everything they unleashed, and it's not sacrificing. My tangent to tie those together is the box office thing. We didn't sacrifice box office anticipation by not revealing the movie. So I would like other studios to notice that, hey, look how little you gave away. You've built up this fan respect so that you don't have to sell the movie by revealing the movie. You're going to make $1 billion potentially in a weekend, a week total instead of a weekend. We'll see if it's a weekend or a week, but you're going to make all that money, and we didn't have to learn the movie. So if you can find that sweet spot, please, because I want to keep enjoying movies.
It's so nice to see a movie dominate the box office, and it earns it.
Yes.
That's the other thing that I get really wrapped up in, because I don't know, I'm just going to bring this up because this is the first thing that always comes to my mind. It's Power Rangers, when it's the cart before the horse thing, when something is meant to be a cinematic universe, a major blockbuster franchise, and it burns up right before your eyes, whereas they earned it. They took their time. They had the architecture laid out by Kevin Feige and his team, and they earned basically this opportunity for us to sit at this table and say, is it going to break records and make $300 million opening weekend domestic and $1 billion worldwide? And that makes that story so much more satisfying to talk about.
Next up, Pokemon, followed by X-Men at the MCU. I want to see those universes made proper. I really want to just be like, oh, Team Rocket movie, and have it be like the 3rd movie in a franchise. I want to get to Team Rocket. I want to live with the Pokemon.
Well, hopefully Avengers Endgame sets an example for other franchises out there. I thought we were talking about this, and I
was like, wait, there were Pokemon?
Oh. No, not going that far yet.
Spoilers, guys.
But seriously, we never want someone out there to try to copy and paste something that was successful before, or like any kind of reverse engineering. We've seen that blow up in studios' faces before, but there are certain things that the MCU has accomplished that if somebody else out there wants to build something that is that important to that many people out there, there's a few cues you can take from this franchise that you should put in your back pocket and at least try to emulate.
I have a question for you guys.
Let's hear it.
How many times are you going to rewatch this film over the next few weeks? Because I thought it was one of those films that I'd see once and maybe digesting it in a week. I would be there right now at the screening today had I not been called in for this. I was ready to go again. I was ready to go again the next day.
I'll be seeing it Thursday and Saturday, no matter what already, and I'm thinking about how busy my Wednesday is already for next week. So the fact that I'm already planning a fourth viewing within a week is a first. I saw Infinity War 6 times, but that was spread out. This is me considering a fourth without having had the second. That's new.
I will have seen it 3 times by Monday. I'm going again tonight, and then I'm going once over the weekend. And part of the reason why I also believe it's going to make that $300 million is because I walked out of a 3-hour movie willing to have walked right back in and watched the entire thing over again. It leaves you in, I mean, it does remind me a lot of Infinity War in that respect, where when I walked out of Infinity War, I wanted to watch it over and over and over again, re-experience my favorite beats of the story, and I had that same feeling here. I wanted to dive right back in, and the screening tonight just can't come soon enough.
So can you imagine it's one of those films that 5-6 viewings later, there's so much detail in this film that you'll be finding new pieces and new bits that you didn't notice.
That's the other exciting thing is the discussion that we're going to have because no spoilers here. Everything isn't as cut and dry as you might expect. It's not like a simple beginning and end mission. There's a lot here to dissect, to consider, for the very, very dense, which is part of the reason why I think one viewing is nowhere near enough for me. But I'm really looking forward to basically dissecting every single element of this movie on this channel in the next couple of days.
Can everybody just go see it already so we can really talk about it?
It's the most I've ever
Almost there.
review ever. I cannot wait for like Monday onward because I can just freely breathe a little. Because every word we've said, I've been like, how do I make sure that isn't implying that? But also, this word in my tweet, was that safe? I don't, like, it's very tense.
Yeah, I mean, this is the perfect time to tell you guys that we're going to have 2 spoiler reviews coming your way. The Heroes team is doing one, and then we're going to have a spoiler talk one on the Collider video channel as well. I believe I'm doing that one with Christian, Riley, and Dennis, and you are...
Myself, Roka, Amy, and Dorian.
There you go. 8 spoiler opinions coming your way real soon. I hope you have time for all of this.